What do you think of the fitness industry?
I have a love-hate with it. The big problem with the fitness industry is a couple things. First is there's really no barrier to entry, right? Like if you want to be a medical professional, there are some barriers to entry, right? Like you got to do some work. Anybody can call themselves a fitness coach. There's no barrier at all. And anybody who has a six-pack will get a lot of clients because as I found out, science is way less sexy than just, hey, look, and it's funny. I for a couple of years, I went up a weight class in powerlifting. I went up to the 105 kilogram class, which is 231. Now I'm not fat at 231, but I put it on here quickly, right? My face will get pretty, in fact, there's a reason there's a nice beard here because it's like makeup for men, right? Like it hides my chubby cheeks. And, man, the comments on my videos, and I actually I sold less stuff. And then when I dropped back down to powerlifting and I was leaner, I sold more stuff. And I'm like, this is so weird. Like my knowledge isn't any different. It's the same dude. And it's not like when I was 231, that was on purpose. I didn't get there by accident. It wasn't like I forgot how to do nutrition,
But if you were a normal person and you didn't know anything about fitness and there was two PTs in front of you,
you go to the one that looks better. You go to the one you want. Say, I want to look like that, right? And that's tough. It's a very tough thing to wade through. And what I will say, people ask me all the time, do you think a personal trainer needs to look the part? Do you think, a medical professional needs to look the part? I say, no, but people like to see application. And I do think there is value in being able to tell, one of the things I was able to tell my clients from competing in bodybuilding and powerlifting and doing all these hard things, I say, hey, I'll never ask you to do anything I have not done or would not be willing to do myself, right?
And we said earlier that humans aren't logical. They're emotional, irrational, and all these things. And to conserve mental energy, I mean, funnily enough, I read about this rat study.
I don't hate rat studies. Most of my research was in rats.
But it just goes to show how the brain works. And they put a rat into a maze and put chocolate at the end of it. The first time it goes through the maze, the rat's brain is going crazy. Second time it goes through the same maze, its brain is basically, there's like almost no activity there. The activity is dropped and it's turned into autopilot. The study goes on to talk about how we're always looking for shortcuts to decisions.
What I would tell people is, again, you can never turn your brain off, right?
Yeah.
And it's just hard. It's hard to identify who knows what they're talking about. I mean, I'll be on this podcast and then, people say, well, what about this guy? This guy has a doctorate and he has this and that's one of the reasons I actually started my research review where I review studies, or me and my team review studies every month and try to translate it into plain language because I did see this kind of gap, right? And trying to build this bridge because it's so hard for the average person to know. And one of the things actually I missed talking about was if you and I are having a conversation, if we're on a certain topic, it becomes clear to both of us pretty quickly whether or not one of us is more knowledgeable on the topic or whether they're about the same, right? Like pretty quickly can tell. Like if we're going into investments and how to start a company and marketing, like you're the man for that, right? Comes to nutrition, like you can tell pretty quickly, hopefully I know what I'm talking about.
Powerlifting me,
right. Right. But what we're really bad at is if two people are disagreeing on a topic, both of whom are more knowledgeable than us on said topic, we pretty much have no way to sort out who's right or wrong.
Okay, this is something I've never mentioned before. In 2023, I launched my very own private equity fund called Flight Fund. And since then, we've invested in some of the most promising companies in the world. My objective is to make this the best performing fund in Europe with a focus on high growth companies that I believe will be the next European unicorns. The current investors in the fund who have joined me on this journey are some of Europe's most successful and innovative entrepreneurs. And I'm excited to announce that today, as a founder of a company, you can pitch your company to us. Or if you are an investor, you can also now apply to invest with us. Head to flightfund.com to gain an understanding of the fund's mission, the remarkable companies we proudly support, and to get in touch with me and my team. Let's talk about Zoe, who you may know because they're a sponsor of this podcast and I'm an investor in the company. You guys know health is my number one priority. Zoe's growth story has been absolutely incredible so far. They're doing science at a scale that I've never seen before. Because of their members and recent breakthroughs in research, they can now continue to offer the most scientifically advanced gut health test on the market. Previously, the test allowed them to analyze 30 bacteria types in your gut, but now, thanks to new science, they've identified 100 bacteria types. This is a huge step forward, and there's nothing else that's available, even close to it, on the market at all. So to find out more and to get started on your Zoe journey, visit zoe.com/Stephen. You can use my exclusive code CEO10 for 10% off. Don't tell anybody about that, okay? Just for you guys. What is the most important thing we haven't spoken about today?
Gosh, I think we touched on a lot of stuff, but let's talk about resistance training real quick.
Okay.
A lot of people think resistance training is just, for vanity and for meatheads. And we see now resistance training decreases the risk of cancer, decreases the risk of heart disease, drastically decreases the risk of sarcopenia, of falls, of broken bones. People talk about calcium, vitamin D. Probably the single best thing you can do to improve your bone density is to resistance train. And, you'll hear people say, well, I'm 40 or I'm 50 or I'm 60. It doesn't matter. You can still put on muscle. In fact, right across the street from where I was doing my PhD, they took basically frail elderly people who had trouble like sitting and standing up and put them through I want to say it was a 16-week program. And resistance for them started out just squatting to a high chair, and then slowly they lowered it down. Some of them started using weights as well. They saw significant increases in their muscle mass as, older people. So you can still put on muscle even getting older. In fact, I think Alan Aragon, he's another good nutrition person on social media. He was posting a video of his father showing, I think his father was like over 80 years old and was doing goblet squats with like a 50-pound